For the past several years, the whispers, the rumors, the scuttlebutt amongst Pokemon players and Pokemon staff members has been that TPCI is gonna bring back the expanded format. They're gonna start supporting it again at official tournaments. That has not happened, but today I want to talk about what would happen to various card markets, smaller markets within the Pokemon TCG, if at this year's Worlds, which is coming up soon, they announced that expanded format would be supported again. Yes, this is a speculation video, so you should take everything I say with an enormous grain of salt, because it is extremely unlikely at this point that TPCI would start supporting expanded again. But before we get into the individual cards I think you should keep an eye on, let's talk about expanded itself. This is a format with an extremely deep card pool. It goes all the way back to Black and White base set and contains all cards up through the most recent standard set. This means that the expanded format has all kinds of different Pokemon, including GXs, tag teams, capital letter EXs, lowercase EXs, Pokemon V, V-Star, V-Max, a lot of different tools you can use, and that's not even thinking about the variety of trainer cards and special energy cards available. And this used to be a supported format, but TPCI has not supported expanded since 2020. Now Japan does have its own version of expanded that does see some support here and there. Expanded does pop up as side events like regionals and worlds, but like I said, it's not an officially supported format, so there's not a ton of tournaments. If you build an expanded deck, you're not going to have a lot of opportunity to actually put it to use. But I think that the return of expanded would be an amazing thing for the Pokemon TCG community. Right now, it's a wonderful thing we're experiencing, but it's also a big criticism of the game is that we have record high numbers of tournament entries. More people are showing up to play Pokemon in person than ever before. And it's a problem because it's all funneled into one format, which is standard. And as we're talking about alternative formats, I have to make the comparison to Magic the Gathering. In Magic, you have Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Commander. So many different formats that are officially supported that if you start to dislike the gameplay loop of one of those formats, you can just build a deck and play in a different format. Pokemon does not have that. But when Wizards of the Coast prints a brand new Magic set, they include cards in that set that are specifically designed to fit into each of those formats. A card that may not be good in Standard may be really good in Modern. And I think that's something else that Pokemon really needs, is when a new set comes out, there's like 6 competitive cards in that set and the rest of it's just bulk. From a competitive side at least. I know collectors can go much deeper into collecting different artists and what have you, but I think it would be really nice of Pokemon to put some more creativity into their design so that it's not just, hey, we got a brand new Charizard set coming out. Charizard's the only good card in this set. Enjoy. But if they, also peppered in some staples that wouldn't really affect Standard but might be really good in expanded. And hopefully what we would see at big tournaments like regionals is that if you have a split of players, some that are sticking to Standard, some that want to go the expanded route, it alleviates some of the pressures that come up when everybody's being funneled into one specific format in which it kind of becomes saturated. You get 4 or 5 top decks, and when you go to one of these events, you are just seeing the same cards over and over again for 8 to 10 hours straight. So again, it would be nice that if I got sick of looking at Dragapult and Gardevoir, that I could go, you know what, for this one, I'm going to go expanded. That way I can experience some different playstyles, not just for myself, but across the table as well. Expanded has such a deep card pool that all kinds of different decks can work. You have Mill, you have Control, you have your turn 2 donk decks, you have combo decks, your big setup decks. But I think what I enjoy most about the expanded format is that creativity is rewarded, because with such a massive card pool, there are so many combos, so many interactions that just haven't been unlocked yet because there aren't enough eyes on this format because it's not officially supported. You can go play this at a tournament, but you're not, earning points or winning prize packs. So I'm all for the return of support for expanded. that return might even get me back into playing in paper, just because I love the types of creativity I've seen in reviewing deck lists. The one issue that Magic doesn't have but Pokemon does is that Wizards of the Coast reprints cards all the time. If a card is good in Modern, it's probably going to get a reprint at some point. In Pokemon, if a supporter card or a trainer card is really good, sometimes it'll get a reprint in the later set if the design of that set allows it. But generally, the Pokemon themselves do not get reprinted. It is very rare a Pokemon will get reprinted with a word-for-word copy of its abilities, attacks, HP, etc. But when it comes to rule box Pokemon, so your VMAX, your EXs, your tag teams, your GXs, these Pokemon, they just don't get reprinted because those mechanics are specific to that block in the TCG. And so until that block returns, like we're seeing with Megas coming here soon, those cards just don't see reprints. And even with Megas returning, it's extremely doubtful that they are going to straight up reprint, Mega Charizard X from the X and Y block. It's just not going to happen because mechanically, Megas work differently now. And that's why these are cards that are going to be easy to speculate on. Because when it comes to something like, Garchomp and Giratina tag team, that card's never getting reprinted. If it does, it's going to be in an anniversary set 10, 20 years down the road. So if Pokemon does open the floodgates, they say, hey, we're going to support Expanded again, starting on this date, the floodgates would open, people would be on TCG Player scooping up a lot of single cards, or at least play sets of a lot of cards. Which ones should you be looking for? And if you want to speculate, if you want to start buying up these cards now, maybe you want to start your own expanded format group in your area, what should you look for? Let's get into the singles. So first off, there are some current standard legal Pokemon that are also seeing play in Expanded, like Dragapult, Tatsugiri EX, Pikachu EX, and quite a few trainers like Crispin. Prices for these cards will be slightly inflated as they are also currently competitive, so they may be worth waiting on. Something like a case of Regidrago V-Star, which recently rotated but is still pretty good and expanded. So you saw a dip in price immediately following rotation because the card was no longer playable, but if it became playable out of nowhere, like in Expanded, one would assume that that price would once again increase. Probably not to the high that it experienced when it was seeing a lot of standard play, but still higher than where it's at right now, which seems to be the floor for this card. Now let's talk trainer cards. As I mentioned earlier, Pokemon is a lot more likely to reprint trainer cards. So for staples like In, Colress, Buddy Buddy, Poffin, we can expect that those prices will remain relatively stable. But even for cards that have seen a bunch of reprints, there is still a market for those players that want to bling out their decks. Like with the Gold Versus Seeker. Now, VS Seeker or Versus Seeker is one of the best trainer cards ever printed, and will retain a slightly higher value because it goes into every GLC deck. It's so good in a singleton format, it's extremely good in Expanded, and right now the gold copy is at a 6-month low, so there is some opportunity there, which is a bit odd since other gold staples like Quick Ball and Netball remain high. And Welder is probably never coming down because it's sexy Welder. It's not just the sparkly cardboard that has opportunity. There are a lot of expanded staple trainer cards that are also at lows right now. Battle Compressor is a card that I highly recommend you get a playset of if you are looking to build decks in Expanded. In Pokemon, the saying has always been thinning is winning, and Battle Compressor thins 3 cards from your deck. Because there's such variety in the Expanded format, you have to tech against a lot of different decks. So you have a lot of one-ofs in your deck. As soon as you know what your opponent is playing, you know what tech cards you don't need in your deck anymore. So you can use Battle Compressor to put them straight into the discard. That way you save yourself some time. You don't have to worry about wasting draw power just to hit cards that you're not going to need. This card's currently sitting at $185, which I think is a steal, because if Expanded ever is a thing, the price of this card is going to skyrocket. And you may be saying like, oh, well, even if the price doubles, you're really only looking at like $4 for this card. It's like, well, that's a huge margin that expands based on how many copies of this card you actually own. I should also mention that Battle Compressor only has one printing, and I don't think it's going to get reprinted anytime soon. Similarly, Floatstone only has 2 printings and is at a surprising low right now. Again, a card that's really good in GLC. It's really good in Expanded because you have such high risk Pokemon with high retreat costs like your tag teams or your big EXs that when they are in danger of being knocked out, you need to get them onto the bench as quickly as possible, and Floatstone's great for that. Right now, this card's about $1 below its normal price, so if you're looking to pick up a playset now, may be a good time. Field Blower, another incredible 1 or 2 of in any expanded deck at a low. This is a card that even at its highs, it's only about 60 cents more, but margins, margins, margins. Lastly, for the trainer section, I want to talk about the Computer Search Ace spec because something weird is happening here. Computer Search is an amazing card. You can only have 1 of it in your deck, but it is a tutor. Discard 2 cards from your hand to go get any card you want from your deck. It's just good across the board, especially in decks where you want specific cards in your discard. This is an easy way to accomplish that. It's not an auto-include in all expanded decks, but it does show up a lot. And as you can see, this card was holding pretty steady at around 23 bucks, and then here recently, it just took a nosedive down to around 15, and a lot of people started snatching these up. You can see there's 25 buys as soon as this card dipped down, but it has not increased in price despite this like small little buyout. And it's not like a full-scale buyout. 25 copies isn't a ton. It's not like one person is trying to corner the market, but a lot of people did go in as soon as the price dipped below 20 bucks. And if you are looking to pick up this card, I would recommend that you go ahead and get it while it's under 20 as well. Only time will tell if the price actually stays this low. Now let's talk some Pokemon. Radiant Greninja is a very good card, and the price has gone down significantly since it rotated. A basic Pokemon with 130 HP that's also a card draw engine and is also a great attacker in water type decks. I think this is a smart pickup for $1.50. Similarly, Tapu Koko Prism Star is a big basic that does exactly what all electric decks want to be doing, and this card is sitting at $1. Regardless of the type of deck you're running, if it has evolution cards in it, you want Ditto Prism Star in that deck. Ditto serves as a 5th copy of whatever basic Pokemon you want it to be, and provides so much consistency to decks that have multiple evolution lines. Because this card is so versatile, I think if you can find any copies under $5, buy them immediately. If they're under $6, buy the ones that you need at least. Bare minimum. Because if Expanded takes off, this is going to be one of the cards to increase in price the most because it is going to slot into so many different decks. My interest in the expanded format was recently renewed because I heard about this popular Donk deck that people were running, and I just had to look into it. It is based around this Alolan Raichu. Its Electro Rain attack lets you discard any amount of lightning energy attached to Alolan Raichu, and then for each energy you discard, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and deal 30 damage to it. This card is on the upswing right now. It's up by quite a bit, but it's still a core card for this extremely powerful deck, and it's only $4. But what's the big deal with Electro Rain? Wouldn't you have to have a ton of energy attached to Alolan Raichu to pull this off and make it an effective attack? Well, that's where Electro GX comes into play. On your second turn, you're going to evolve 2 Voltorbs into Electro GX. You're going to blow them both up, give your opponent 4 prize cards, but that's also going to allow you to take 5 energy cards from your discard per Electrode and attach them onto that Alolan Raichu. Your trainer base is going to help you get all of those energy into the discard, and with the amount of damage you're going to be spreading around with Alolan Raichu, you should be able to knock out most, if not all, of the Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field, and that's how you donk your opponent on turn 2 or 3. This is the other core Pokemon for that deck, and again, we see a price point below $4. How do you protect yourself against these donk decks? Well, you run basic Pokemon with HP so high that they don't care. With a whopping 250 HP on Waylord EX, this is a staple for a ton of different stall and control decks. It's so hard to knock this thing out because there are also so many options in Expanded to completely heal a Waylord EX of all damage counters. Once again, a very good card in Expanded for under $4. Plus, it's Waylord EX. Why wouldn't you want a couple copies of this? Alternatively, you could take a big basic and make it an even bigger basic Pokemon with your V-Stars. Zacian V and Zacian V-Star are both just high output damage cards that go really well in ADP decks. I'll be talking more about tag teams and expanded in my next video, so be on the lookout for that one. But to have a card this powerful and easy to set up be under $2, I think that's a steal. Lugia V-Star is in the same boat. Not that long ago, this card was ruling standard before it rotated, and the price has gone down quite a bit. I remember when this was an $8, $9 card just for the basic version. In Expanded, it still has that amazing synergy with Archeops. You can hit like a truck for under $3. Speaking of cards that dominated Standard before they rotated, Zorarch GX is cheap again. $2.50. This card is its own draw engine. Riotous Beating can deal a big chunk of damage for only 2 colorless energy, and Trickster GX will straight up hit your opponent with their own pimp. Think of all the insane damage output you can see across Pokemon in different expanded decks, while Trickster GX is just gonna pick the biggest one and slap your opponent with it. I also want to mention some non-obvious Pokemon for the expanded format, one of which being Ultra Necrosma, a big basic that can deal 170 damage for 2 energy, while also discarding an energy off of your opponent's active Pokemon. There is no drawback to this amazing attack. This card is sitting under $4 and is an amazing single price Pokemon for any deck that can use it. Oh, but to Shuckle! The drawback is its ability Ultra Burst. No, that is not a drawback as long as you are playing Silent Lab. A card that makes Ultra Necrozma usable and amazing while also hurting your opponent, since a lot of expanded decks rely on abilities as their search and draw engine, and it's under $2. The last card we're going to talk about today is a prime example of what I mean when the Pokemon Company could print cards that are not good in Standard. This Slowking is not good in Standard at all, but it is amazing in Expanded where it has stupid potential. Seek Inspiration. For a Psychic and a colorless, discard the top card of your deck, and if that card is a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box, choose one of its attacks and use it as this attack. My god. So first of all, this is a 10-cent card. This is a relatively recent one. This is from Stellar Crown. A 10-cent core for your Slowking deck. Secondly, the engine to make Seek Inspiration work already exists in Expanded. You have a ton of draw and search power that gets the Pokemon that you want to copy its attack into your hand easily. And then Academy at Night is a stadium that's going to let you put it on top of your deck from your hand, so that when you use Seek Inspiration, you already know what you're going to hit. Most Slowking decks I've seen favor Curum because a turn 2 Trifrost is so explosive, it will wipe away your opponent's setup in one single attack. This Curum is also a 10-cent card, so when it comes to Slowking and Curum, two of the most important cards in this deck, you could buy 100 each for a low cost, and if the price goes from 10 cents to $1, man, the resale on that, talk about margins. But my personal favorite is the Amazing Rare Yveltal EX, because Amazing Destruction just says knock out your opponent's Pokemon. Is your opponent trying to stall with a Waylord EX or a Giant Tag Team GX? Knock that shit out. Take your prize cards. One and done, don't even worry about damage counters. Currently, this Yveltal is $1. An amazing rare, amazing looking holofoil legendary Pokemon that is sitting at $1. It is incredibly undervalued right now. A great speculation target if you are looking to take that risk. If you even call it a risk, worst case scenario, you end up with a bunch of really pretty cards. This video has gone a bit long, so I am going to save all of the discussion around tag team Pokemon for a future video. I have a lot more to say about those as speculation targets and their role in the expanded format. Just doing the research for these couple of videos has really got me intrigued and excited about the expanded format, and just really makes me wish the Pokemon Company would start supporting it again. So I think I'm going to add some expanded deck techs into my release schedule and see where the overall hype is, or if I can generate some hype in the community, because the buy-in cost for building an expanded deck is pretty low. As we've established in this video, a lot of the staple cards are relatively low in price, so it could be super fun to play in person. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what camp you fall into. Are you collector, player, investor? Why are you watching this video? No matter the answer, I'm glad you're here, and I hope you stay tuned for future content. I will see you there.